Hi, I'm Brent Rossi, and this is a supersonic episode of Super Nintendo Chronicles. In this quest to look at every Super Nintendo game, I'm not gonna lie. There are tons of games I am not looking forward to playing in order to capture footage. Thankfully, the SNES starts everything off right with F-Zero. A launch title both for the Super Famicom in Japan on November 21st, 1990, and the Super Nintendo in North America in August of 1991. F-Zero started things off on the right foot, with a game that manages to combine spectacle with gameplay, and the results, well, I think they speak for themselves. As new systems are introduced these days, early titles are frequently accused of being glorified tech demos, as developers struggle to utilize new technologies and gimmicks, while often failing to actually create a game worth playing. While F-Zero is certainly a showcase for the Super Nintendo's prized Mode 7 ability, it is also a tight racing game with great design and art direction. Set in the 26th century, F-Zero allows the player to take the role of one of 4 racers in their custom vehicles. Dr. Stewart, who drives the fragile but nimble Golden Fox, always quick to take the lead. The alien Pico, whose green wild goose is the most durable of all the available craft. The bandit leader Samurai Goro in his bulky Fire Stingray, which is slow to start but has the highest top speed. And finally, of course, Captain Falcon, our white-bread hero, whose vehicle, the Blue Falcon, is the all-rounder. These intrepid souls have 3 leagues to pick from: Knight, Queen, and King, and 3 difficulty levels: Beginner, Standard, and Expert, with the Master difficulty being unlocked once Expert is completed. With a total of 15 tracks, it's a pretty substantial amount of replay value, especially for a game of its time. Looking at the game's pedigree, this level of quality is probably to be expected. The game was developed by Nintendo Entertainment Analysis and Development. For those of you who are unaware, this is the team responsible for most of Nintendo's star franchises: Mario, Zelda, Star Fox to name a few, and where Shigeru Miyamoto, who was the producer on F-Zero, spends most of his time and energy. Prior to this game, and the game that we're going to see next episode, this team had produced a string of hits, namely Super Mario Bros. 2, Zelda 2, Ice Hockey, and Super Mario Bros. 3. With that in mind, it would have almost been shocking if F-Zero had not been an excellent game. I remember the first time I saw F-Zero in a demonstration unit, just prior to the Super Nintendo being launched. It was absolutely stunning, blowing away any other home racing game, and many arcade efforts besides the fact. I wasn't a big racing game fan, but the car designs, the flashing neon barriers, the blinding speed, I just had to play it. It took a while to figure out exactly what to do with all the extra buttons, the benefit of using the shoulder buttons to lean into the sharp turns, and fighting off the urge to spend the whole game ramming opponents into the railings in hopes of blowing them up. But it was clear, even early on, that this was a quality title for a quality system. Playing the game today, it remains a fantastically well put together experience. The difficulty ramps up gradually through the leagues, each track slowly rolling out new wrinkles, with magnetic guardrails, mandatory jumps, deadly landmines, and more being introduced at a steady pace so as not to overwhelm new players. The races become an exercise in skill, memorization of the tracks, and learning the best way to handle every curve with the danger of taking too much damage or flying off the track, keeping the game tense and exciting. Now, F-Zero is obviously not perfect. The 4 selectable racers are your only opponents throughout the entire game, with the only other cars being the slow-moving Pacer cars, available in both standard and exploding on touch models. It's also a single-player-only experience, which was pretty torturous back in the day. Not only does this gameplay cry out for competitive matches, but it also meant a long wait before your turn when you watched a lucky friend or relative play on their new Super Nintendo.
Is it my turn yet?
No!
Loser! My turn yet?
No!
Also, while its lack of combat is now one of the defining characteristics of the series in a sea of futuristic racers which were inspired by F-Zero, it does, and certainly did at the time, feel like kind of a lost opportunity. Now maybe slamming a car into the guardrail and watching it explode violently is only as satisfying as it is because it's such a rare event, but I would have loved the option for a little more carnage at the time. I'm sorry, that was a horrible pun. Now, that's all just nitpicking, of course. F-Zero was mind-blowing when it was originally released, and it remains even now one of the best racers on the system. Oh, and I haven't even mentioned the music. Composed by Yumiko Kanki and Naoto Ishida, F-Zero's soundtrack is instantly recognizable and quickly gets your heart pumping. Alone, it would stand out among one of the best game soundtracks of its era, but with the rest of the package, it makes up, quite simply, a classic of the Super Nintendo library. The original F-Zero has of course spawned many sequels, and is perhaps a testament to its design that the Game Boy Advance installment sticks so clearly to its design and presentation. In addition, it's also a key inspiration for many of the racing titles that came since, including Daytona USA and the Wipeout series. The popularity of the series may be on the downswing, with the last F-Zero title being released in 2004, the memory of F-Zero being preserved in Captain Falcon's appearances in the Smash Bros. Series. But that shouldn't stop you from remembering and going out and playing the original, which helped the Super Nintendo race out of the gates and secure its place in video game history. For more information on this project, check out SNESchronicles.tumblr.com or subscribe to stay up to date with the latest episodes. See you next time.